The galaxy was vast, endless, and full of life. Countless civilizations thrived among the stars. Some were peaceful, trading and exploring. Others were fierce, constantly fighting for power and territory. Yet, in all this chaos, there was one place that no species dared enter. One region of space that carried a warning older than any star: human territory. No one knew exactly why humans were so feared. Stories whispered across the galaxy told of their power, their intelligence, and their strange ways. Some said humans had weapons capable of destroying entire planets. Others claimed that their fleets moved like shadows, appearing and disappearing without warning. But no matter the story, every species, from the smallest insect-like beings to the largest armored titans, agreed on one truth: never cross human borders. On the edge of this forbidden space, a lone scout ship drifted silently. It belonged to the Zarathi, a species known for curiosity and exploration. The ship was small, fast, and equipped with sensors designed to detect even the faintest sign of life. Its pilot, a young Zarathi named Vrek, had spent years studying human space from afar. He had seen the glowing edges of their star systems, the strange patterns of their fleets, and even glimpsed the massive structures orbiting distant planets. But he had never seen humans themselves. Why do they hide? Vrek whispered to himself, eyes fixed on the blinking lights of the distant system ahead. His voice trembled, not from fear but from awe. They are different. Vrek's ship crossed the invisible border marked on ancient maps as human territory. Immediately the sensors went wild. Waves of energy pulsed through the ship and alarms blared. The ship's AI, a calm and precise voice, tried to reason. Warning: unauthorized entry detected. Recommend immediate retreat. Vrek shook his head. No. I need to see them. I need to know why no one else can survive here. The ship moved deeper into the system. Suddenly, a shadow passed across the stars, a massive shape far larger than any ship Vrek had ever seen. His heart raced. The silhouette resolved into a fleet of human ships, sleek and terrifying, their edges glowing with blue energy. They moved silently, but every movement felt deliberate, precise, as if they had been waiting for him. Vrek froze. The human ships did not attack immediately. They merely watched, their sensors likely reading his every thought, every heartbeat. Fear tightened in his chest. He realized now why every Zarathi had avoided this space. This is impossible, he whispered. His hands trembled on the controls as the largest human ship slowly turned toward him. Its hull shimmered with energy shields, reflecting the distant light of the stars. It looked alive, like a predator sizing up its prey. Vrek tried to turn back, but the ship's engines struggled against the invisible force surrounding human space. It was not just territory, it was a trap, a cage designed to warn, to test, to punish. Return now, the AI repeated, urgency rising in its tone. But Vrek was frozen by the sight of the humans. In the distance, on the surface of a planet, he saw towering structures, unlike anything he had imagined. They were enormous, shimmering with light and power, stretching high into the sky. Cities that seemed to defy physics, built with knowledge and technology far beyond the galaxy's imagination. And then he saw them. Humans. Not in ships but walking on the surface. They moved with calm confidence, completely aware of him, completely unafraid. They were few, but every movement spoke of strength, intelligence, and control. Vrek's mind raced. How could a species so small, so fragile-looking, dominate a region this large? Suddenly, alarms screamed. The human fleet had moved. It was no longer just observation. They were closing in, not with weapons but with authority. The invisible force that had slowed his engines now pushed him back, forcing him to retreat. His ship shook, systems failing under the strain. Vrek's last thought before breaking free of human territory was clear. The galaxy had underestimated humans. They were not just another civilization, they were something else. Something the galaxy was not ready for. He fled back to his home system, barely keeping control. Every message he had ever heard about humans now made sense. Every warning, every story, it was true. Humans were not to be trifled with. They were the ultimate predators of the galaxy, and anyone who dared enter their space would learn the cost of arrogance. Back among his own people, Vrek shared his story. His voice trembled as he described the towering cities, the silent but deadly fleets, and the humans themselves. The Zarathi elders listened, horrified. No one had ever crossed human space and returned alive. And now they knew why. Across the galaxy, the rumor spread faster than light. A new fear gripped every species. The humans were watching. And the galaxy was about to learn the price of pride. The warning spread across the galaxy like a dark storm. Every species, from the smallest traders to the largest empires, whispered the same fear-filled words: humans are not to be challenged. On a distant world, a massive council convened. Leaders of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations gathered in a grand chamber that floated above the clouds. The chamber was enormous, filled with holographic maps, glowing star charts, and strange alien devices. Each leader represented thousands, even millions, of citizens. At the center of the chamber sat Erica, the elder of the Zerathi, still pale from Vrek's story. She raised her clawed hands, calling the council to silence. "We have heard what has happened," she said, voice trembling slightly. "A scout has entered human space, and survived. But only just. He tells of cities taller than mountains, fleets that move like shadows, and humans who do not fear anyone or anything." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Leaders argued. Some laughed in disbelief, others trembled with fear. The Krylons, a reptilian warrior race, slammed their fists on the table. "These are just humans. A small species. How can they scare the galaxy?" Erica's eyes burned with warning. "Do not underestimate them." The scout saw their power. He saw their weapons. And he saw them watching. "Humans do not act like the rest of us. They are precise, patient, dangerous." A new voice spoke, a deep, rumbling tone from Lord Tharn, the leader of the Garathi, a massive armored species. "If they are so powerful, why have they not attacked anyone before? Perhaps this is just a warning. A bluff." Erica shook her head. "This is not a bluff. Humans are patient. They wait. They observe. And when the time comes, they strike. We do not know what they are capable of. And that is why we must be careful." The council fell silent. All eyes turned to a glowing hologram of human space, flickering with strange energy. Some leaders whispered among themselves, imagining fleets destroyed and worlds burning. Fear and uncertainty filled the chamber like a dense fog. A younger leader, Vyrek of the Lunari, stepped forward. His species was known for intelligence and diplomacy. "Elder Erica, if humans are so strong, what do we do? Do we prepare for war? Or do we simply avoid them?" Erica's voice was calm but firm. "We survive. That is all. We must not provoke humans. And we must listen to their warnings. Pride has no place here. Any attack, any intrusion will be met with consequences. The galaxy will learn the cost, but not yet. Not until we see it ourselves." A murmur ran through the chamber. Leaders turned to one another, debating strategies, alliances, and defenses. Some wanted to strengthen their fleets, others wanted to send diplomats to humans, but no one agreed. Humans had shown that no one could predict their actions. Outside the council chamber, messages were being sent to every corner of the galaxy. "Avoid human space. Do not provoke them. Do not test them." The warnings traveled faster than any fleet could fly, reaching worlds that had never even seen humans before. Meanwhile, in human space, nothing had changed. Humans moved through their territory with quiet confidence. Ships glided past glowing planets, cities pulsed with light, and strange signals hummed in the void. But no one could say that humans were preparing for war or peace. They were patient. They were watching. And the galaxy waited, holding its breath. Every species knew that humans were no ordinary civilization. They were the ultimate unknown, a force beyond imagination. Every council, every fleet, every diplomat, none could decide what would happen next. Yet deep in their hearts, all species shared the same thought. The price of arrogance would be paid sooner or later. In the quiet depths of human space, a single alien ship drifted toward a small, glowing planet. It was the Ilther, a species known for intelligence but not for courage. Their leaders had debated endlessly, but curiosity had overcome fear. This mission was simple, or so they thought. Observe humans from a distance, gather information, and leave. The ship's pilot, Zaylor, was young and ambitious. His eyes gleamed with excitement as the planet grew larger in the viewport. "Finally," he whispered, "we will see humans up close. Perhaps they are not as powerful as the stories say. But humans had eyes everywhere. They did not need ships to watch. They did not need weapons to strike." Zaylor's vessel had barely crossed the outer atmosphere when alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the console. "Warning," the ship's AI hissed. "Unauthorized entry detected. Prepare for immediate retreat." Zaylor shook his head. "No. I must see them. I need to know the truth." From the clouds below, towers of metal and glass rose higher than any structure Zaylor had ever imagined. Their surfaces shimmered with light, reflecting the sun and casting shadows over vast city streets. Humans moved among the towers. They were fewer than Zaylor expected, but each one carried an aura of control and power. He landed cautiously, sensors scanning the area. As soon as his feet touched the ground, something strange happened. The air seemed to hum with energy. The humans stopped their tasks and turned toward him. Not in fear, not in panic, but in observation. Every movement measured, every gesture precise. Zaylor froze. His instruments were going haywire. The humans were not attacking, yet he felt their presence like a physical force, pressing against him, reading him, judging him. A figure stepped forward, tall and composed, its uniform strange but clearly human. Its eyes glowed slightly with a sharp intelligence that made Zaylor stumble back. "You shouldn't be here," the figure said calmly. Zaylor opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. He realized that humans did not need to fight to control fear. They radiated it. Suddenly, a warning siren from the ship broke the silence. Other humans had noticed the intrusion. Ships rose from the city in silent formation, cutting off every escape route. Zaylor's heart raced. He had wanted to see humans. Now he just wanted to survive. "Return to your ship," the figure commanded, voice low and steady. "And leave. Never come back." Zaylor obeyed, trembling as if the weight of human attention was crushing him. He ran back to his ship, engines flaring, barely lifting off the planet's surface. Behind him, human ships glided silently, not chasing, not attacking, but guiding. A subtle but undeniable message. They had seen everything and they would not tolerate intruders. As Zaylor fled, he looked back once. The planet glowed under the light of its sun, but it no longer seemed peaceful. It seemed alive, aware, and dangerous. Humans were not just another civilization. They were a force unlike any other. When he finally returned to Ilther space, he reported to his leaders, shaking. "Humans, they are not what we expected. Their cities, their ships, their presence, it is beyond comprehension. They watch. They wait. They are patient, but they are deadly." The Council of Ilther elders sat in stunned silence. Stories had spoken of human power, but no one had ever seen it firsthand. Now they knew, the galaxy had underestimated humanity. Across the stars, whispers spread. A single scout had returned alive, barely. Every species that heard Zaylor's story felt a chill in their hearts. Humans were not just powerful, they were untouchable, mysterious, and impossible to predict. And in the deep shadows of human space, the humans watched. They had noticed the intrusion, observed every action, calculated every reaction. To them this was not a threat. This was a lesson for the galaxy. No one enters human space without paying the cost of arrogance. The galaxy had begun to whisper, but whispers were not enough. Stories of Zaylor's encounter traveled from system to system, growing with each retelling. Every species now knew one undeniable truth: humans were not to be tested. In a distant star cluster, fleets gathered silently. The leaders of several species debated, anxious and angry. Some argued for diplomacy. Others whispered of preemptive strikes. But all of them feared what humans could do. Back in human space, nothing seemed to change. Ships glided silently among stars, cities shimmered with strange energy, and humans moved calmly as if aware of every thought in the galaxy. Their observation of Zaylor's intrusion had been quiet, calculated, but the message was clear: cross human space and the consequences will be immediate. On the planet where Zaylor had landed, massive devices hummed with energy. Human engineers monitored the outer space borders, observing every signal, every movement. It was not just defense, it was a warning. A single thought transmitted across the void: this is human space. Leave. Word of this warning reached the galaxy faster than light. Merchants halted trade routes near human territory. Explorers retreated from star systems once thought safe. Even mighty warlords of distant planets paused, reconsidering their plans. Humans did not need to fight to enforce their authority, the threat alone was enough. Among the Council of Species, debates grew more intense. Elder Erica of the Zerathi stood before the assembly. "We cannot underestimate them," she said firmly. "Their power is not just weapons or ships. It is intelligence, patience, and control. Any aggression will bring ruin." The Krylons, still proud and defiant, slammed their claws on the table. "We cannot live in fear forever. Perhaps we should strike first, before they grow stronger." Erica shook her head. "Strike? You do not understand. They are not like us. They do not fight blindly. Every action they take is precise, calculated. Attack them, and you will pay a price you cannot imagine." A murmur ran through the assembly. Even the boldest species felt the weight of her words. Across the galaxy, whispers turned to fear. Humans had shown that intruders were noticed immediately, and mistakes were unforgivable. Meanwhile, humans continued their quiet vigilance. Patrols of sleek ships moved along borders. Sensors scanned every ship entering their space, not to destroy first, but to observe, to measure, to calculate. It was a warning that did not need words. This is our space. Respect it or regret it. Zaylor, back with his people, tried to describe what he had seen. But even he struggled to convey the magnitude. It is not just power, he said. It is control. They know everything we do. They are patient and deadly. We cannot fight them. We cannot negotiate. We can only avoid them. The council fell silent. A new fear had settled in their hearts. Pride, ambition, curiosity, everything that had once driven them now seemed dangerous. The galaxy had learned the first lesson. Humans were untouchable, and arrogance in the face of them was fatal. Yet somewhere in the shadows, a few voices whispered differently. We must challenge them. We cannot let fear rule us forever. We will find a way. Their words were dangerous, reckless, but they existed. And in the heart of human space, humans continued their watch. They did not rush, they did not panic, but every move of every species was tracked, recorded, and understood. The warning was simple. Any intrusion, any attack, would be met with consequences no one could escape. The galaxy shivered under the weight of that warning. And far away among the stars, some species began to question themselves. Had they already crossed the line, or had humanity simply allowed them to live, for now? The galaxy had grown restless. Despite the warnings, a small but bold faction of the Krylons refused to bow to fear. They believed humans could be challenged, that perhaps their strength was exaggerated. Fleet commanders gathered in the shadows of a distant asteroid field, plotting their strike. "This is our chance," said Commander Vor, a tall, armored Krylon's leader. "The humans watch, they wait, but they do not strike first. Tonight we will test them. We will enter human space and show them that we are not afraid." Ships hummed with energy as the fleet moved toward the border of human space. Their engines burned bright against the darkness of the void. For the first time in generations, one species dared to defy the humans' silent warning. Meanwhile, in human space, nothing seemed to change. Cities gleamed, ships patrolled, and humans continued their calm routine. But sensors were alive with information. Every movement, every signal from the approaching Krylon's fleet, was measured and recorded. Humans did not panic. They simply prepared. As the Krylons crossed the first marker, alarms rang through their ships. Red lights flashed and their navigation systems faltered. Commander Vor cursed, but before he could react, a wave of energy surged from an unseen source. Krylon's ships shuddered, engines straining as if the void itself had turned against them. From the shadows, human ships emerged. Not dozens but hundreds, sleek and deadly, moving in perfect formation. They surrounded the Krylon's fleet like a net closing silently around prey. The humans did not fire immediately. They watched. They waited. Their presence alone caused panic to ripple through the Krylon's ranks. This is impossible," stammered Commander Vor. "They should not have moved this fast. They should not have." A pulse of energy exploded near the lead ship. It was not just a weapon, it was a precise display of power. Systems went offline, shields collapsed, and smaller ships were instantly disabled. The humans were not attacking blindly, they were teaching a lesson, striking only where necessary. The Krylons tried to retreat, but the humans anticipated every move. Their fleet shifted like a living organism, cutting off escape routes, herding the Krylons toward a single point. Ships collided, alarms screamed, and chaos erupted, but all under the humans' control. Commander Vor's voice trembled over the comms. Fall back. Fall back. We cannot." But it was too late. One by one Krylon ships fell. The humans did not celebrate, did not gloat. They simply executed with precision, leaving a trail of wreckage across the dark void. When the battle ended, only a few Krylon ships remained. They limped back across the border, terrified and broken. Commander Vor's fleet was shattered, and a message had been sent, clear and undeniable: never enter human space again. Across the galaxy, news of the strike spread like wildfire. The whispers of human power were no longer stories or rumors. They were reality. Every species realized that humans were not just observers or defenders, they were predators in their own right, patient but unstoppable. In human space, everything returned to calm. Ships resumed their silent patrols, cities continued to glow, and humans went about their routines as if nothing had happened. To them, the Krylon strike had been a necessary reminder, not a war. Yet across the stars, the galaxy trembled. Pride had been punished. Curiosity had been crushed. And every species learned the same lesson. To challenge humans was to invite destruction. And deep in the shadows, some leaders began to whisper, fear and respect intertwined in their voices. If they are like this now, what else can they do? The humans waited, patient as ever, knowing the galaxy would continue to test them, but also knowing that any who did would pay the ultimate price. The galaxy had learned its lesson. The Krylon's failed strike against human space became a story repeated in every corner of the stars, a tale of arrogance punished and curiosity crushed. Pride had its price, and the galaxy now understood that humans were unlike any other species. The survivors of the Krylon's fleet limped back to their home world, their ships battered, their crews shaken. Commander Vor addressed his leaders with a voice trembling between fear and disbelief. "We underestimated them," he said. "Not just their weapons, not just their ships, their mind. Humans are precise, patient, unstoppable when necessary." Across the galaxy, other species watched the news in silence. Merchants halted trade, explorers retreated, and warlords abandoned plans of expansion. Even the most confident civilizations whispered of humans with fear. Pride had been punished. Curiosity had been crushed. Yet humans remained silent. Their cities glowed like distant stars, their fleets patrolled the void without a sound, and their presence continued to dominate space without a single boast. To them, the destruction of the Krylon's fleet was not victory, it was a warning. A lesson that the galaxy would never forget. On distant planets, alien scholars debated the implications. "They do not fight for conquest," one elder said. "They do not attack without reason. They simply exist, and we cannot touch them." The Council of Species reconvened, this time in hushed tones. Elder Erica of the Zarathi spoke solemnly, her voice carrying across the chamber. "The cost of arrogance has been paid. Let this be a lesson. Humans are not to be underestimated. Any who cross them will face consequences that cannot be escaped." Even the boldest leaders nodded. The truth was undeniable. Humans had shown their power without rage, without chaos, and without unnecessary destruction. Their precision, their patience, and their intelligence had ensured victory before a battle had truly begun. Meanwhile, humans continued their quiet expansion. Their cities grew, their fleets became more advanced, and their presence spread throughout previously unclaimed star systems. They did not announce their power, they did not demand respect. But the galaxy had no choice but to acknowledge it. Across the stars, whispers of fear and respect intertwined. Every civilization, from the smallest traders to the largest empires, now knew the cost of arrogance. Pride could not challenge humans. Curiosity could not trespass without consequence. The galaxy had learned that humans were not just another species, they were a force beyond imagination. Yet, deep in the shadows of distant systems, some voices still questioned. "Is this all humans are?" they whispered. "Or is there something even greater hidden?" Their curiosity burned, but caution tempered it. The first lesson had been learned, the price of arrogance was too high. And so, humans watched quietly, patiently, knowing the galaxy would continue to test them. Some would survive the lesson, others would pay the ultimate price. But all would remember the truth. No one defies humanity and lives to tell the tale. The galaxy had changed. Pride had been humbled. Fear had spread. And humans remained silent, patient, and ever watchful, a quiet power that the universe could not ignore. The galaxy had changed forever. The stories of humans, of their power, patience, and precision, were no longer rumors whispered in dark corners. They were the truth, carried across star systems by those who had seen or heard of them firsthand. Every civilization now understood one thing: humans were untouchable and arrogance came at a deadly price. On distant planets, alien scholars recorded the events in great detail. Students and leaders studied the Krylon's failed strike, the warnings sent by humans, and the calm dominance of their fleets. "Humans are not just warriors," one scholar said. "They are teachers of consequence, masters of strategy, and the ultimate predators of the stars." Yet, for all their power, humans did not boast. They did not claim victory. Their cities continued to shine, their fleets glided silently among the stars, and their presence expanded quietly, almost unnoticed. Humans had no need for fame, the galaxy itself had acknowledged them. Among alien leaders, fear and respect were constant companions. Diplomats spoke cautiously, traders avoided human borders, and explorers mapped safe distances. Pride was humbled, curiosity restrained, and ambition measured. The humans had rewritten the rules of the galaxy without firing a single unnecessary shot. But even with the galaxy wary, life was not entirely without question. In the farthest reaches, a bold and curious species whispered among themselves, "We have heard their power, but can anyone truly resist them?" Their words carried both challenge and fear. The humans were patient. They waited, observing every move, recording every thought, but always silent. Across the galaxy, legends of humanity grew. Some spoke of their immense cities, others of their silent fleets that could strike without warning, and many simply told stories of caution. Do not cross the humans or you will pay the price of arrogance. And so, humans became more than a species. They became a legacy. A symbol of intelligence, patience, and quiet dominance. The galaxy respected them, feared them, and slowly they became a standard by which all others measured themselves. But humans themselves continued as they always had, silent, observant, patient. Their greatest power was not in destruction or violence. It was in the knowledge that the galaxy would never truly understand them, and that no one could challenge them without consequence. As new explorers, adventurers, and ambitious species looked toward human space, they knew one thing for certain. Humans had earned their place at the top of the galaxy. No one could touch them, no one could challenge them, and the stories of arrogance punished would live forever. The galaxy had learned the